is that the mobile opportunity is so large, it's breathtaking. Our mobile search traffic grew 50% in the first half of 2010. Our mobile business doubled over the last year. Android, I think everybody here knows how successful that is. The numbers are staggering, more than 200,000 phones per day. Devices, I guess technically, but mostly phones. Now powering more than 60 devices from 21 OEM partners across 59 carriers in 49 countries, with deals happening every day. So the momentum is only accelerating. It's interesting that the search traffic from Android phones more than tripled in the first half of 2010. Chrome, our browser, is a good example of what it's going to take to build the kind of architecture and platforms that I'm talking about. If you want to build an open web, which Google is committed to, and I should say right up front that Google's core strategy is openness. Other companies, notably Apple, have a core strategy of closedness. Ours is fundamentally an open one, an open web, and open internet. It's sort of how we actually drive everything. You're going to need a powerful browser. Chrome now has more than 70 million users, and it's getting a lot faster. Remember that speed thing? The latest release is 4 times faster than the first release 2 years ago. And so if you think about a powerful browser that's more of a platform, which is what Chrome is, secure, scalable, fast, and with a lot of speed, Chrome allows you to run applications within the browser that you can do autonomously. So autonomous action within the browser that enables this whole platform that I'm talking about. And of course, there's lots to do with monetizing content. As everybody here knows, it's just as important to have the money side of the business and the monetization side in particular, as well as the technological side. We have a lot of good news to report there. 24 hours of video uploaded every minute into YouTube, just think about it. More than 2 billion views per day of YouTube. Again, think of all the time being wasted, I suspect. 160 million mobile views per day, more than double in the last year. The numbers here at scale are really something. And the business is doing well, more than 2 billion monetized views per week in YouTube, and the number of advertisers and the number of monetized views up more than 50% in the last year. Similarly, the display business, many of you partner using display revenue and so forth, is also taking off. There are more than 300 million new visitors a day in our display network. Three-quarter of the world's internet users come through it in one way or the other. And the DoubleClick platforms serve more than 45 billion ads per day. So the sum of those not only give you a platform opportunity around Chrome and Android and those technologies, as well as this notion of core information search, they also give you a way to monetize. So again, returning, let's say right up front, it's a big bet on open. So let me turn and comment on a couple of things and then take your questions. It seems to me, first and foremost, that the internet is one of the most disruptive technologies in history. The Schmidt quote, of course, people have heard perhaps, capitalism inevitably leads to a perennial gale of creative destruction. You are the creative destruction. Right? This is it. This is ground zero right here, if you will. And what's happened is that the internet has replaced the economics of scarcity with the economics of ubiquity. And the businesses that rely on controlling content and limiting content are at risk to businesses that understand that content should be broadly available in all forms and monetized in new ways, new forms of distribution, etc. And these businesses are both exciting and terrifying. They're exciting because of the scale. You can reach 1 billion people literally overnight in a new way. They're terrifying because it has all to do with information. And information is stuff that people care a lot about. And so all of a sudden, when you're in that business, you find yourself confronted with all sorts of criticism, regulation, investigation, and so forth and so on. And from my perspective, and I think from our perspective at Google, these debates are healthy. Because many of the questions are really unresolved. The debates over privacy, the debates over encryption, these are fundamental questions that society has to face because of the disruptive nature of the internet and the new kind of power that it gives to end users. We fundamentally are giving people an enormous amount of technological power in their hands, in this vision. And that shapes and changes the power relationship between citizens and governments, citizens and private companies, citizens and each other, the law, and so forth and so on. So if you put all this together and you think about what does this really mean, you could think of this as another golden era. And in this case, I think it's a golden era of breakthroughs. Breakthroughs like we've seen in the last couple of years based on this platform. one way to think about this is think about how can computer science and science in general help with these breakthroughs. Global warming, terrorism, financial transparency, these are all fundamentally information problems. So all of us in one way or another can help there. So imagine a future involving all of us that looks roughly like this. And by the way, this is a near future. It's a future where you don't forget anything, because the computer sort of knows things and remembers things. And computers will clearly be good at doing the things that we're no good at, making lists, remembering things, keeping memories of what we do. They're not very good with things like judging. And although there are predictions in that area, I think it's unlikely that they're going to do a very good job for a pretty long time. But one thing they're very, very good at is dealing with billions of things and scanning them, data mining them, and all those kinds of things. And people will develop new ways of doing that. In this new future, you're never lost, right? You don't get lost anymore. It used to be fun to get lost. Now you look at your Google Maps or whatever, however you navigate, and you have exact images of where you are. And what's interesting is that we can, and with new technology, we will know your position down to the foot or even to the inch or the ton. So all of a sudden, has a lot of implications for how exploration occurs and our sense of how small the world has really become. Your car should drive itself. It's amazing to me that we let humans drive cars. Computers should drive cars. It's obvious, right? If you think about it, it's a bug that cars were invented before computers, right, in that sense. And all of a sudden, it'll be much, much safer when we let the computers do the things that they're good at, and the humans can talk or eat or whatever they want to do in the car. I think the idea. What's interesting about the Earth is people who love the Earth can love it more. You can learn much more about our planet because you can visualize it, you can see it. There are very, very large numbers of people who are now using Google Earth and other mapping platforms to study the impact of the only world that we've all ever really known. You can really have all the world's information at your fingertips in any language with universal translation. We're basically at the point where we can do a 100 by 100 matrix of translation. That has a lot of implications again for global understanding, both the good and the bad. And the fact that we can now do it dynamically and in real time is a huge breakthrough for understanding how people in the world will evolve. You also can know now what to pay attention to right now, right? Amidst the explosion of real-time information, with your permission, again, we can help you understand what you should focus on next. Because we have the tools, we have the understanding, we know what you care about, and we know what's going on. And we can even suggest the things that you might be interested in based on various algorithms involving serendipity and so forth and so on. You're never lonely. You're fundamentally never lonely because there's always, your friends are always online. And if you're awake, you're probably online. And if your children are awake, they're certainly online. That's a huge shift, even in the last 10 years. There's always somebody to speak with, text to, talk to, and so forth. You're never bored. You're really never bored. Instead of wasting time watching television, you can waste time watching the internet, right? Whenever you're sitting there and you're bored, there are so many choices now. This is another change. It's a change that's occurred in the last 10 or 15 years, and one which is not going to come. Games, movies, videos, and we can suggest again what you watch or what you not. You're never out of ideas. We can suggest where to go next, what to do, who to read, who to meet. Imagine a world's calendar of events, things that you would like. Now this is a future. What is particularly interesting about this future is that this is a future for the average person, not just the elite. Historically, information markets focused on the elites. It was the elites who had access to the information, they ran around, they were all very pompous in the way that the elites are. What's neatest about this all is that because of technology and because of information access, this is a future for 1 billion people now, 2 billion in a few, and certainly in our lifetimes, 5 out of the 6 billion or 6 out of the 7 billion of people that will be alive today. So not only are you playing for a space that's important, you're playing for something which really touches almost everyone. So this, in my view, and this is, I think, a shared goal with all of us, is a future that's committed to doing good. It's a future that gives people time to do more of the things that they matter. Thoughts, ideas, intuition, solutions, things that they want to do. It's a future that's a sort of stuff of poetry, if you will. There's a quote, which I'll finish with, from William Gibson in the New York Times 2 weeks ago. Google is made of us, a sort of coral reef of human minds and their products. I think think this opportunity is right before us. I want to thank TechCrunch